Hi, I'm Aaron Stevanus, Market Development Agronomist with Pride Seed. Today I'm here to talk about the crop in general. So there's two things that I hear all the time, and it's yellow beans and yellow corn. What's going on there? Why are we seeing that? So let's just step back a little bit. So let's compare last year to this year. We think of 2014 as a wet, cool year. Well, actually, in June, we had the best growing conditions we ever had. We had corn, probably about similar height as this, dark green, probably the darkest green we've ever seen because it had all that ability to take up all those nutrients, especially nitrogen. And then when it started to rain, we saw that nitrogen tail off. Now, fast forward to the same time this year. So we've had rain for the whole period of June. So what that means is we've had more stress put on the plant. In the previous year, we had roots going out perfectly. We had nutrient uptake. Where now we actually almost have a compaction of the soil. Now, some of that may be from tillage last fall. Some of that may be from planting into a little earlier into wetter conditions. But I'd say a big part of that also has to do with compaction from the rain. So we've had a lot of hard compacting rains, and you can actually, believe it or not, get compaction from that heavy velocity coming from that droplet. So when you go out there, I challenge you to take your shovel out and start digging. And you'll be amazed what you'll see. You'll see soil that looks like it's drying out, but when you dig in, it's actually fairly supersaturated. And what I mean by supersaturated is your water to oxygen level is swayed over to higher water concentration, because field capacity is your perfect balance of water, air, mineral, and organic matter. That perfect balance where everything's working perfectly, nutrients are being taken up, enough moisture for the crop. That's the way you want to have a 300 bushel crop. Where now, too much moisture, limiting roots, almost causing compaction. You're seeing those roots having to struggle through there, and biggest thing, not enough oxygen. And depending where you are, some people are scuffling. Where I am and around Elmira, there's a lot of people that scuffle in general, and you are seeing those crops perk up simply because of the oxygen that we're putting in that soil from doing that tillage. Now, does that mean that we need to scuffle every year? Absolutely not. That is a year-by-year thing. I personally like no-till, and so therefore I wouldn't scuffle at all. But in a management standpoint for this year, to kind of give that crop a little boost, might not be a bad idea. In previous videos that we've had on the website, Ken talked about heavy residue, Dan talked about how to manage that residue. What I'm talking about is what that residue is doing to the corn. And so really it's tying it up, because it was preserved last year. We combined into cool soils where those microbes weren't active and they weren't breaking down any of those stalks. We even had a immature crop, so we had a little bit more lignin in that, and it didn't break down. So all those came together in a perfect storm to give us a lot of residue that wasn't breaking down, very dry, very fluffy, and it's hard to incorporate. But then also now, since it hadn't broken down, that nitrogen's getting tied up by those biologicals that break down the cellulose in that corn stalk, but also need nitrogen to make that happen.